For Edgar, I wouldn't say that, again, I wouldn't say it's his stupidity that he falls for this plan. I mean, it's very telling in the script. There's very little text. He says hardly anything about the moment when Edmund comes into him and says, have you spoken badly to your dad? Well, then you've got to go, quick. And Edgar almost goes, what? It happens so fast on the one that he doesn't have time to react. And secondly, there's no foundation for him not to not believe his brother. We were talking yesterday in the rehearsal that this state, that Lear's kingdom, seems to be a very harsh, very brutal, very almost a police state feeling. So that if you step out of line once, that's you can be a bit like sort of East Germany, that sort of Stasi land kind of people watching other people, and if you step out of line, bang, that's it. You've got one strike and you're out. So as soon as Edmund mentions that your dad's unhappy, you need to go, Edgar goes.
It's one of those moments in Shakespeare you think, well, why do I buy it? But I do. It's not immediate, but it's pretty quick. I mean, he swallows it pretty quickly, and I think he has come at exactly the right time because Gloucester is already aware of this sense of fear, paranoia of things fracturing. And also, Edgar is conspicuously, my legitimate son is conspicuously absent from the first very public scene, whereas Edmund, my illegitimate son, is there.
Yeah, he's just very clever in how he addresses each person and which buttons to press on them.
I think the relationship is an unconditional relationship between father and son here, which doesn't need to be stressed. It doesn't need to be worked at because of the social status in which we are. We're a high aristocratic family. I'm Lear's godson, who he's named. We take privilege for granted. And as a result of that, we are as close as we need to be at the beginning of the play. I think what Edgar discovers, like Lear, when everything gets stripped away from you and you are just left, Edgar is poor Tom, the sort of naked, semi-naked beggar who has no trappings of life, realizes just how important that bond between father and son is, and the extremes to which Edgar takes his father to the point of the fake suicide on the cliff when Gloucester is blinded.
Edgar is my legitimate, so I would have been obviously with his mother for a period of time. She's not present in the play now, but Edmund's mother, who knows, when was the last time? Well, we've had discussions about when and where, but Gloucester associates that person and Edmund with a certain amount of a certain amount of joy, of fun, of spontaneity. He doesn't downgrade this guy's mother, but there is an association. In that first scene, where he talks about there was good sport that his making, and his mother was fair, and there's a very different quality, certainly of the memory of that, and what he feels about my wife, about your mother. We don't know. It doesn't really say, but that would definitely color the two.
Whereas from Edmund, it's completely the opposite. I have an absolute problem with the fact that he's going to get everything because of primogeniture, and that the eldest will get everything handed down to him. Edmund is completely against that at all. Why should he have that when I'm close in age to this guy? I've got the same features as this one. Why should that matter?
Because I'm cooler.
Why should being illegitimate and a bastard and base, all these words that keep cropping up, allow Edmund not to have anything? So I think that's just constantly on his mind, and it affects the relationship.
I think so, yeah. Speaking about Gloucester, goes through a huge transformation in his circumstances, in his physical self, goes from having everything, similar to Lear, having everything to having nothing, losing his eyes, and also at one point giving everything that he has to this. It's actually his son Edgar, who he thinks is a beggar, giving everything to him, and there's a sort of revelation about the value of things and about what it means to share with others. There's something to do with seeing with Gloucester, something to do with him acquiring a new or real vision after he's actually been blinded. He begins to understand things that he didn't understand before.
Edgar's journey is a startling one for him. He doesn't expect it. I know none of the characters really expect what's going to happen in the play. Yeah. But Edgar has to go from being a very nice Prince William type kind of everything's on a plate for him, there's absolutely no problems in the court, to suddenly being run out of town, his house, with nothing, and he disguises himself as the lowest form that he thinks, so a lunatic beggar. And through that, learns the harsh realities of life, that you don't need the trappings of material world around you. You don't need words. He says towards the end, we say what we feel, not what we ought to say. So you should speak what you think, speak your mind, speak how you're feeling, not put the facade of, hello, Dad, how are you? I'll see you next week. Yeah. If there's a problem, I'm going to speak to you about it. Yeah. And a lot of the characters don't speak. When they do, they get punished for it.
Whereas the first thing that Edmund wants to do is get rid of Edgar. So then Daddy can give me Edgar's share, and then I can inherit. And then I think the transformations come from then, that every other thing that Edmund does by getting rid of Father is just a bonus. I don't think that's pre-planned. I think that just happens when Gloucester decides to go to King Lear and side with him rather than Cornwall. And then having Goneril and Regan fancying or lustful after Edmund, again, that's a bonus. So I think he's just on this roller coaster and relishing it, and he becomes freer, and he's like, yeah, laws and gods, see what us bastards can do. And I think it's really exciting. I've got mixed feelings about Edmund. I think he's got a very good argument with the fact that why should the eldest born get everything? I
love Edgar. He's great. I think Shakespeare writes brilliantly for actors. It's all, every part in Shakespeare. There's no small part in Shakespeare. And Edgar is one of those beautifully scripted, crafted parts which starts as nothing and becomes very much something.